Hello friends, my name is Shayla, and today I'm here to wrap up my reading month for the month of September. I had a pretty good reading month, all things considered. I probably should have done a mid-month wrap-up, but most of my reading happened in the second half of the month, so I just wanted to get on here and share what I read with you guys. And if you've read any of these books, give this video a thumbs up, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Alright, so the first book we're going to talk about is my buddy read with April Sarah this last month, and that was Everland by Wendy Spinelli. Initially I gave this like a 4 stars, but the further away I got from it, I've actually gone on and lowered my star rating to a 3 stars. It really was pretty subpar. It was okay, but you know, if you're super into Peter Pan and you're super critical, you're not going to like it at all. If you're not very familiar with Peter Pan at all, you'll probably like it okay. It just falls somewhere in the middle for me. This is probably one I'm not going to plan on keeping on my shelves, but it's not a bad book. The next book we're going to be talking about is In Rule by Holly Sparks. I received this book in my Go Indie Now box in the month of August. I ended up reading it in September, and this is a zombie novel. I had no idea it was a zombie novel. I ended up really enjoying this. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I flew through this. It's about 250 pages long. Maybe a little bit more, might be closer to 300. I think it's 250. But either way, it was a really fast read, really fun, really engaging. If there's more to this series, I will definitely be continuing. The next book I'm going to be talking about is The Raiders of Broken Wheel Recommend. This book is about a woman from Sweden who who comes to visit this small town to visit her friend Anne, and her friend has passed away. And so she's kind of left staying in her house and being this kind of unwelcome guest in the town. And it's just been really fun and really interesting. There's so much that they deal with in this book. I would consider it a pretty diverse book. You're dealing with somebody that's not from the US. You're dealing with somebody who's coming into a new culture. You're dealing with immigration issues. You're dealing with so many things and small town life. Like, the way the town's described reminds me of Stars Hollow from Gilmore Girls, for any of you Gilmore Girls fans out there. So this book is fantastic and amazing, and I adore it. I ended up giving it 4 or 4.5 stars. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but this is one that I will definitely continue to come back to and read because it is a sweet, sweet story about people who love books, and it's absolutely fantastic. Next up is the Shaegeeksout Book Club Book of the Month for September, and that was Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It is a solid start to a fantasy novel. It might have been 4.5 stars. It might have been 4.5. Either way, I really enjoyed this. I loved Safi and Isolde and their amazing friendship, and I loved the other friends that they were able to make throughout this novel. I do plan on continuing on. I can't wait for January to get here so I can start with, I believe it's Sandwich? No, I don't think it's Sandwich. That sounds funny. It's like, I think it's Windwitch. That's the next one. Which, of all the powers, I think that's the one I would personally want. So I'm really excited to move on with this series and continue. The next one we're going to talk about is Not a Drop to Drink by Mindy McGinnis. This is a dystopian book in which water is very hard to come by that isn't, like, poisoned. So that's kind of what this world is all about. It's about this girl who's surviving in this world on her own after her mother passes. It's very much a survival story. It was really good. This is Trina from Over Between Chapters. This is one of her favorite series ever. And so I do plan on continuing on with the next book. I checked this out from my library recently, and I really ended up enjoying it. I know this one was at least 4. It might have been 4.5. But I thought it was really enjoyable. The characters were very lovable, and the world that she built was very intriguing and very interesting to me, so I'm excited to see where this goes. Next up is The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury. I didn't really like this book very much at all. There really wasn't much going for it. I was so hopeful that it was going to be great, and it ended up not being so great. I believe I ended up giving this one 2 stars. It was one that I am glad I did not purchase for my own. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Next up is Frost by M.P. Kozlowski. This is an advanced reader copy that I received. It's supposed to be coming out on October 11th. I haven't heard much about this outside of when ARCs were kind of coming out around BEA. That's when I picked this one up through a Barnes & Noble event. And I thought it was a pretty solid book. This is an uncorrected copy. But, you know, there were plot holes and some missing things. Generally speaking, I like where it's going, So when it's published, whether that's actually on October 11th of next month or not, I will probably reread it and see if they've tweaked or changed anything. But I flew through it. It was a good, fast-paced read. I think I ended up giving it 3 or 4. I don't remember. But all I know is I like the world that was built. I want to see if this continues on or if it goes anywhere. And I will do a full review of this one soon so you guys can get my full thoughts and feels. Next up was Replica by Lauren Oliver. I read this in preparation for its release on the 4th, or Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. The 4th. Yeah, the 4th. The concept of this is very interesting. I do think it could have been better executed personally. I think I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It was interesting, but I felt like it could have been a whole lot stronger than it actually was. Gemma was the character that I related to more of the 2 narratives. I related to her in a lot of different ways, and once you read it, you can understand. But if you're curious about it at all, go ahead and give it a read, and let me know your thoughts down below if you've read it. After some of those advanced reader copies, I ended up picking up a couple of manga that have been sitting on my shelf, and I just wanted to read them. So I have finished Let's Dance a Waltz Volume 3, which is the conclusion of the series. This is just a fun, sweet, contemporary manga. It's 3 volumes, and I loved it. It just made my little dancing heart happy, and if you like ballroom dancing at all, I say pick it up. It's really fun, and you'll love it. Next up is Volume 4 of Forget Me Not. I am really enjoying this story as it plays out and all of the things that are happening within it. This is about a man who gets in an accident and is saved by somebody familiar, but he doesn't remember who she is. So he's kind of recounting his life and the women in his life and how he treated them to figure out who this mystery woman savior person is. I'm 4 volumes in. That's all I've seen at Barnes & Noble. If there are more volumes published, let me know down below because I really want to keep moving on this one. Next up is one of my most anticipated reads of the entire year, and that is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. I am Throne of Glass trash, and I will say it till the day I die. I gave this book 5 stars. Manon is amazing. I wasn't so sure about her in Heir of Fire, but I absolutely adore and love her now. I can't tell you really anything other than that about this book without spoiling it. So I will leave my full spoilery book talk below. If you've read it, you can go listen to it. If not, go read the Throne of Glass series. The first 2 books are very different than the rest of the series, but I have to say I've really been enjoying the rest of the series much more than I enjoyed the first 2 books. And that includes The Assassin's Blade. I like this better. So, anyways, there are my thoughts. This cover is so pretty, and I am totally Throne of Glass trash. And last but not least was my classic pick for the month of September, and that was purely a nostalgic reread of The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This was one of my favorite books as a child. It's still one of my favorite books to this day. I can't wait till I have kids and I can sit and read it to them because I love the whimsy of this story, but I love that she wrote imperfect characters because they aren't perfect. They're mean and they're snotty sometimes, but I still love it because they're human and they're real. Okay guys, that was what I read in the month of September. Also let me know down below what you've read in the month of September, and I'll talk to you guys soon.